Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. What a Mexican Grand Prix we've just had. Absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best races we've had for a very long time. We got action all the way through that race. Mexico, you delivered. Pirelli, well done for the tyre two-step that you did on the hards, because that produced a brilliant race where you're deciding whether you go for a one-stop, whether you go for a two-stop, and we got late calls for some guys going on to that two-stop strategy. Well, we'll get to the start because it was absolutely crazy. Lando Norris, the absolute perfect start, got clean away into turn one and out of turn one brilliantly well, wasn't really in trouble. The two Ferraris behind, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, long side by side. Max Verstappen trying a cheeky one a long way around the outside. Leclerc braked late, Max Verstappen braked super late. He braked on the curb and then just locked up a little bit and went off the grass, cut the corner. Leclerc did the same, but he kept his position in P2 against Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen, rightly so, gave it back to Lewis Hamilton. George Russell wasn't really happy with that at all, felt that Max Verstappen should have given the position back to George, because basically all he's done is just ram it around the outside, locked up a little bit, and passed everybody when he just clearly wasn't going to make the corner. So I could see George's point on that one, but the call didn't come, did it? And then we got the just brilliant racing throughout that one. Lewis Hamilton then and the Max Verstappen battle at lap 6, which was really good to see them two go wheel to wheel again, as they went into the second, as they touched actually. Max Verstappen with a lunge used Lewis Hamilton as a bit of a braking buffer. They touched wheels, and then Hamilton went into the second corner, locked up, and went off track to keep position, and he got a 10-second penalty for that, and it feels a little bit harsh, I'm not going to lie, and that absolutely ruined his race, because it looked like a podium position was potentially on for him at that stage. And in the midst of all that going on, we got Ollie Berman with an absolutely blinding move past George Russell and Max Verstappen within that melee. George Russell losing out the most actually, because he also lost out to Kimi Antonelli, and that was probably a bit of a rough one for George Russell, because he's felt hard done by the Verstappen incident, and then all this mess that's happened in front of him, and then beaten passed by his teammate, who he couldn't get past once they pitted, and he seemed like he lost the best of his tyres for about 5 seconds. The Mercedes switched, in which case it looked like it was just too late. George Russell couldn't pass or get up and close on Ollie Berman, who drove absolutely phenomenally, because I thought once he's got passed into that position, I thought Max would hunt him down and pass him pretty quickly, but that Haas was really strong around here. Really good race pace from them. That Ferrari engine worked really well in Mexico. It did in previous years, the Ferrari. I didn't expect it to do as well as it has this weekend, and all the while we had Oscar Piastri, who had an awful start, trying to work his way back into the race. He was down to 11th at one place, and then made up a couple of places crucially on the first lap, but then got stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda for about 10 laps too many, and then again behind George Russell, which meant that he just didn't have enough time to get closer to Ollie Berman. And then we got that stupid VSC, which absolutely killed the race, because Carlos Sainz stopped in the stadium section, and it was an horrendous call to call a VSC there. I'm not sure why they couldn't carry that on under yellow flags, as they did the lap before, when we seen Verstappen and Leclerc go through on that. And Max wasn't close enough that first time round, but on the second lap around, it looked like it'd be really close going into that final lap into turn one. But we got robbed of the opportunity, as did Oscar Piastri, actually, quite frankly, making the move on Ollie Berman, because he was right within the DRS zone, about half a tenth behind, so half a second behind, sorry. And it was, such a real shame. But what a race. Absolutely brilliant to see that. Lando Norris, absolutely flawless. and we'll get to my 3 good and 3 bad, the 3 stars really for me, starting with Ollie Behrman. No surprise, a fantastic P4. What a race from him. Did he look into it a little bit, but really good racing. Just hung back as he's seen Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen racing, as Verstappen sort of joined back onto the race track a little bit as he went off as well. Just meant he placed his car brilliantly well, made the move on the inside of Max Verstappen and got the pass on him, and from there on he just was flawless. I mean, he was making a gap to Max Verstappen at that stage, which was unheard of. We just saw the pass and we just thought it's a sitting duck. Max Verstappen was flying, and it just didn't happen. Obviously in the second part of that stint, did he need to pit with Max Verstappen breathing down the necks of the cars ahead? I think probably now when you look back, it was the right call. I was questioning that, or whether did he need to pit? Was he far ahead enough of Max Verstappen to potentially hold him off? But by pitting, I think it meant that he definitely had a chance to hold on to 4th place rather than just dropping down the field had he stayed out. So when you look at that was the right call to do that, because he did lose out the podium position at that stage to Max Verstappen, but it meant he held on to that 4th place, because had he not done that, it would have been easier for Oscar Piastri to pass him. It would have done with a couple of laps. But absolutely brilliant drive, a career best clearly, and massive amount of points for Haas. And they'll be delighted with that. We'll jump him up in their fight with Williams in that 5th place, and this is why Williams can't rest on their laurels. It's kind of what happened to them, and they got sucker punched with Alpine, didn't they, last year in Brazil. It'll be very, very tight with the final races to go, but hats off to Ollie Behrman. He had a decent race last time out, cost himself a couple of positions with a move, but this time he made full work of that. An absolutely fantastic job to put off a P4 for him. Second of the 3 good, I'm going for Lando Norris, because he's gone on and won the race and now leads the championship by a point. He was 14 points behind Oscar Piastri, and what a race weekend from him. A brilliant qualifying session, and I thought he might be in a little bit of trouble down into that long straight after start into turn 1. He's not been the best at them, but this time round he really managed that well. I think he learned his lessons a little bit from Austin last time out. And he was just absolutely flying, won the race by 30 seconds, and deservedly so. It was absolutely phenomenal from him, and he now leads the World Championship. Who'd have thought of that when we've seen how his race weekends have previously gone? Oscar's dropped off a hill massively, finishing in 5th place. And well, now Lando Norris looks the favourite. He's 36 points ahead of Max Verstappen in the championship. 4 races to go. I mean, still anything can change, because we go to Brazil next, which can be absolutely chaos and crazy, and it's a sprint race weekend there as well. So now, I mean, it's just hotting up massively. Will Oscar now feel the pressure is now off a little bit? I mean, the lead is gone, which is really shocking in itself, considering how comfortably he was up at the front. But 1 point behind now. How will Oscar react to this? It now looks like it is in Lando Norris's hand. It's been a phenomenal weekend for him. How this championship just seems to be changing from one weekend to the next. It's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, a fantastic job from Lando Norris on the 3rd of the 3 good, and I've given it to Charles Leclerc for holding on to that 2nd place. I thought he did a brilliant job in the race. He was really quick. He had a comfortable 14-15 second gap to Max Verstappen, and it was that early race pace which really meant that he was never in the class of Lando Norris, but he was comfortably best than the rest, and it was actually a really well-deserved P2, and for me personally, I'm glad he's kind of held on to that. I know for the championship Max needs sort of them extra 3 points everywhere he can, but for me, Charles Leclerc drove absolutely brilliant. Really good to see him up there in that Ferrari. Another second place, back-to-back two P2s for Ferrari and Charles Leclerc after Austin, which is I kind of just didn't see that coming. I knew they'd go well here this weekend, but honestly I didn't see them on the podium, and that's why they weren't in my top 3 in my predictions. And I mean, you could have thought that they would have done well considering how well they've gone in previous years, but genuinely didn't see this pace that they pulled off around here, and they came late in the showing in Q3, and Charles Leclerc drove a phenomenal race this weekend. Onto the 3 bad, and I'm going for his teammate Lewis Hamilton, and I don't think it's all down to him. He had a pretty solid start. I think he might have felt a bit hard done by with Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, who he was racing half a car length alongside on the inside. He went and kept on the track, yet them 2 cars went off track. Yes, Max Verstappen gave him back position back, and the Ferrari Charles Leclerc didn't. Should Charles been ordered to give that position back to Lewis Hamilton? I know when they're in the same car, stewards are not really kind of reluctant to make that call there, but I can see why he felt hard done by. And then for that incident of keeping just cutting a corner, keeping or gaining an advantage, he clearly locked up, didn't go down the escape route because it just had zero grip, as he said, and then he joined and he made up about a second, but I just don't think that warrants a 10-second penalty. If it at a max, it probably was a 5-second penalty, and it's a shame that the team just didn't come on the radio and say, actually Lewis, just drop back a little bit, because you did look like you gained a bit of an advantage as you've ran off wide, and that really shafted him, because it really cost him. Went into P8 and then he seemed to just not lose interest, but he didn't see that fight, and we didn't quite see that pace in the Ferrari after that stint really. He went for the second stop as well, as did other guys around him. He pit with Piastri. Probably looked like the right call, and it would have been in making up good positions, but because they all sort of picked Kimi Antonelli as well, it meant that the guys ahead then had a comfortable gap to fall into. We didn't really have any pressure of losing positions to one or two of the guys behind, so it meant there was an easier stop for them boys up in front of him in terms of Russell and Ollie Berman. So they weren't then sitting ducks later on. But yeah, it's such a shame, because it looked like it was a really strong weekend going for him, and to finish in P8 is really disappointment. I don't think it's down to him really, so but it's just horrible the way that's ended for him. Second of the 3 bad, I've gone for Yuki Tsunoda from P11, or he's finished in P11 out of the points. He's been beaten by Gabi Bortoleto. From where he started, it's such a shame that he's not been in the kind of race that this has turned out to be. He just never seems to make the most of these, take the opportunities when they arise. He's in a good car. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a world beater. It wasn't around here in Mexico. Max Verstappen struggled as well, but still managed to pull off decent races. But Yuki Tsunoda, I just don't understand what's gone wrong with him. We will find out his fate. Potentially it's going to come at the end of this weekend, so we'll have some news on that, but nothing as of yet. But will he keep that seat? I mean, it seems highly unlikely the way his race performances has gone, but is it just that second driver seat in the Red Bull that's struggling? Let's see how he gets on. Yeah, let's see how that goes, because the man that should be taking his seat is also on my 3 bad, and he's a third of the 3 bad. Isaac Hadjar from P8 down to P13. Such a shame really. He went for just try and hang it on with the 1 stop. Obviously the bad call, everybody else who went around him and pit for the 2 stops just had the fresher tyres, and he was a sitting duck once they got close, because you could actually overtake when there is a deficit on the tyres here. The softs were never going to make it to the end, with sort of when you've got 30 laps old tyres, and guys are coming up behind you with 10 laps old tyres, with that 20 lap difference in tyres. He was just a sitting duck, but it's such a real shame, because started well, and the way this race has gone, we've seen what Ollie Berman has managed to pull off, and Isaac should have really got some points out of this one, so he'll be disappointed, and it's a rounds off the 3 bad for me. Next up, Brazil, one of the absolute bangers of a racetrack. I wasn't expecting as exciting a race as we've got here in Mexico. Lando Norris heads away from this weekend with a lead in the championship. I just didn't see that coming. Oscar Piastri has got an awful lot of work to do. He's struggled in the last 5 races last year. He started the first of them last 5 races. Absolutely horrible. Here this weekend, he's been comfortably second best to Lando Norris, and his championship now rides on the final 4 races. I'm kind of hoping Oscar comes back into this and we get a ding-dong battle between the pair of the 2 Red Bull Mercedes McLaren drivers. Mercedes, Red Bull, I'm calling them all right now. And hopefully get a ding-dong battle between them 2 McLaren guys. Max Verstappen is now just 36 points behind in the championship. He's not out of the picture yet, especially when we go to Brazil, and he performs really well there, has a great track record there in the past. And so it's anybody's game still. 1 point in it. Lando, the man this weekend, he's been absolutely phenomenal. He gets the final word because I don't think he could have asked for anything better. And to be that far ahead of his teammate is absolutely unreal. Shows the car was there if you could get it in that sweet spot. But Oscar clearly struggling with that this weekend. Let's see how it pans out. Let me know your thoughts on the race. Who was your driver of the day? For me, it was clearly Ollie Berman with a fantastic P4. What do you make of the championship? Who is your favourite going into the final 4 now? Do you think it's all in Lando Norris's hands? Can Max Verstappen crawl in with some magnificent final 4 races? Can Oscar Piastri now, once this lead is relinquished, find something within himself to, go on back and wrestle away this championship from his teammate? Let me know who your thoughts or who've you got for the favourite now heading into the final 4. It was all Max Verstappen before. Is it now Lando Norris? How quickly does this change weekend to weekend? For after Austin, it was all Max Verstappen. After Mexico, it's all Lando Norris. After Brazil, will it be all back in Oscar Piastri's hands? Who knows, but we're here to find out. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.